Okay, good morning. It's kind of dark out still. You know, the fall, the beginning of fall is going to change the light in here. I like working with natural light. It seems to be the best way to tape things. I am going to talk about the Marseille Tarot today for a lot of reasons. I have this deck. It's just the trumps, and I've been using this recently. I cut it down. It's from US Games. It's $15 on Amazon. And it's a beautiful deck. Look at that. Check that out. I don't like big cards, but I love it in this because these are, you would never read like a 9-card or Celtic cross with these, in my opinion. You would read a 3-card or a 6-card, which I'm going to talk about. So I did get this. I brought this out. I've been working with it, and I did get another one of these. So I'm going to have 2 of them. One is going to be without borders, and one is going to be with borders. And I'll tell you why I'm doing that. I don't know if people know about this, or if everyone knows about this. Maybe I'm, maybe I'm new to the party, which of course I usually am. Behind things, behind in knowing what's out there. YouTube has been a wonderful venue for me. It saved me tons and tons of money on all kinds, especially when you do house repairs or something. You go to YouTube and they have all kinds of videos on it, doing little simple things that you can figure out how to do it. And some people are so good at explaining how to do things and what you need. Now, what I just found out was there's a gentleman on YouTube who reads online, and it's Mr. Alejandro Jodorowsky. He actually has a YouTube channel, and I came across him. It's called Jodorowsky Films, and he's a 90-year-old man now, and he gives tarot readings online with the Major Arcana, the Marseille Major Arcana, and I'm going to show you how he does it. Well, give you an example, not how he does it per se. So this is his book. I did get his book. It's quite extensive, but I gotta read it again, or I didn't read the whole book, but I read parts of it. So I'm gonna try to get into this. I'm also, the other book that I have about the Marseille is the Bendoff book, Marseille Revealed by Yoav Bendoff. He was a student of Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky is still alive. I think he's living I'm not sure where he's living right now, but he's living in some Spanish-speaking country. He was a native of Chile, so he's Spanish-speaking. And then there's the Yoav Bendoff. He did this other book on the Marseille, which is very, very readable and beautiful book. And I'm going to go back to reading this again. Now that I know a little bit, as you learn the tarot and as you advance, it's probably good to go back to some of these books because then you'll get more out of them. In the beginning, it's just been a year since I've been learning tarot, and I was just learning the cards, and now I'm getting a better sense. I'm doing more readings. I'm getting a better sense of what I'm doing, and I think I can learn a lot more by reading, going back to these books. Now, just a little quick thing about Alejandro Jodorowsky. His videos are in Spanish. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I understand Spanish, so I can just watch him without... But they do have those little, the little subtitles, so it's accessible to everybody. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how he reads, give you a sample of how he reads. And it's worth checking him out. Totally worth checking him out. I know this Mr. Bendoff talked about, you really should only read with your Major Arcana. That's all you really need to do is read with the Major Arcana. And it's like, oh, gee, what if I run out of things to say? Well, you won't run out of things to say. And, how long is a reading? It shouldn't be more than, 15 minutes, really, because you get really long-winded. And, some of the information, you have like 9 cards out, and some information conflicts with other information, or sometimes you look at a 9-carder and you're like, where do I even begin with this? It's a personal choice, but I have been doing it. So I've been doing the smaller spreads. I'm going to put these down. And I've been very happy with them. Now, what he does, Jodorowsky, is people contact him and they tell him what the question is, and then they tell him the 3 cards that they pull. So when you go talk to him, or not, when you go watch him on, when you contact him for a reading, he has the deck, and you tell him what the question is. You pull 3 cards, and you tell him what the 3 cards are. So it's other words. I can go, well, let's do. What's my lesson for today? I mean, it's a standard question I ask. What's my lesson for today? And I would pull 3 cards. What's my lesson for the today? What's my lesson for today? Okay, so then I would ostensibly, I mean, if I were contacting Alejandro, I would say, what's my lesson for today? And I would say, well, I pulled 13, I pulled the Emperor, and I pulled Judgment. And that's all I would tell him. And so then he, on the video, on the YouTube, he pulls these cards out. He tells you what the question is, and then he pulls the cards out. And he sort of talks about, what's my lesson for today? Well, it's about, you're going to have some, there's going to be some transformation in the lesson. You're going to learn something new. You're going to be start a new path. There's going to be transformation, new growth. You're preparing the ground for new growth. And the Emperor is there, someone very analytical and logical, and could be someone who's going to help you, or someone, maybe it's your internal Emperor, who is going to take this information, take the transformation, and go with it. And then this will lead to some kind of judgment or some kind of insight or something. So he would do that, and he'd go through it. But then what he does is he lays 3 more cards out. And this is where it gets interesting. So now that he has these other cards out, he reads them this way, and then he reads them across. So these are his cards. These are his prompts for answering the question. These answered the question for the querent, but then he's going to look at not only this answer, but also his own pull. And this is one reason why you may want to get 2 decks. I'm thinking I'm going to get, you can just use 1 deck, but he uses 2 decks. He puts out the first one that the client said, was like, well, this is what I pulled. So he pulls these out. And then he gets another full deck, and then he lays out 3 more cards. This way you can actually get another Emperor, which is, important. If you get a duplicate of something, that would be important to read in whatever position. So he actually uses 2 decks. So then, so let's say so then how I would read this, or how he reads it, is then he picks up these 2 cards, and he looks at them, and he goes, okay, so you have a transition coming. There's going to be transformation coming. And here we have the Hierophant. And that transformation you're experiencing, you will learn a lot from it. Okay, so it's important to be very aware what the transformation is. Today's day, there'll be something. Keep an eye out for this, and then you'll be learning something. It will help you in something that you need some help in guidance. It'll give you guidance. I'm just being, really cursory about this. And then here we have the Emperor, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. And it's like, well, it's a cyclical nature. We have the Emperor, who is, sort of stalwart and steady and stable. But, even he can't control the secular nature of things. So these 2 cards could come at odds to one another. I'm just, riffing on all this. They're not doesn't necessarily meet together, but you can come up with things that connect the 2. So you see this emperor who's very stable, very certain, but there is uncertainty. Not everyone knows the future. Not everyone has control of their emotions. Not everyone has control of other people. You can't control the weather. So in your ability to learn and be certain and move forward with great assurity, there's always the Wheel of Fortune that can always throw a bug in things. So we have that, and then we have these 2 cards, and we have the Judgment card, deciding what to do, maybe learning something from this upper level. But then we have the Empress, and maybe we will learn to give birth to something new. Maybe this is something that is not only is a transformation, but it's a very positive transformation, because we see a new birth coming into play. So through this process of judgment, through the process of completing a cycle, new growth will come out of it. Now what he does is he reads these three cards together. So we have the Hierophant, learning, giving advice. It could be a counselor, it could be taking your own counsel. So there we have that. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, which, maybe the counseling is good, but maybe it won't take into account the fact that things are always changing. And so you have to kind of go with the flow. Take counsel, but go with the flow, because that could be difficult. And then we have, assuming we take counsel, but we go with the flow, we can give birth to a new idea or a new something. So, so that's a very cursory sort of thing that he wouldn't say what I just said, but, this is what I'm saying, just off the top of my head. So that would be the reading. So then he would also, he also goes in and does the reading with, the positions. Here we have the transformation, and we have the Emperor. I mean, they're very much engaged. The transformation is leaning into the Emperor. The Emperor is like holding out something, saying, okay, hold it, stop it. The Emperor within, or whatever, maybe wanting to say, hey, listen, I'm not ready. I'm not sure I want this transformation just yet. He's holding something against the death card. Like, wait a minute, I'm not sure I want to transform. He's having second thoughts about that. And maybe he's having second thoughts about that because he wants to make some judgments. He wants to figure things out first before he allows the transformation to happen. Transformation is clearing the ground for new growth. There's the new growth there, and he may be wanting to stop that, put his heels on it, and say, slow down, and he wants to figure things out first before he's going to jump into doing that. And then you could read across this way, and it said, so what should you do? Well, take guidance, maybe talk to someone, or take your own guidance, try to figure things out yourself, knowing that circumstances can be very changeable, but once you acclimate yourself to change, there is the opportunity in the future, she's looking off to the future, of a significant change, a new growth, something new to happen, of planting seeds. So there's going to be change. You may not want the transformation. You may want to just, put some brakes on that. You need to think about it some more, thinking about it even more, maybe going for a counselor, maybe going under your own counsel. And the counsel will realize things change. The change is the nature of life, always changing. And that once you accept that change, that not everything is going to go according to the way you want it to go right away, that will set you on a path for new growth. So that's how he does the readings. And it's so interesting when he does it. And so simple, really. So I'm really kind of committed to getting the second deck and doing tarot readings and reading the book again. And it's so interesting when you see, again, when I talked in my earlier video how, postures make a difference, the landmass makes a difference. And there's so much you can pick out of these cards. So a lot with reading the major arcana with Jodorowsky and Bendoff is, are the actual pictures. I mean, this is the Hierophant, this is the Emperor, this is the Judgment card. But it's not just knowing that. It's looking at the cards themselves, looking at the images. There's so much to draw from the images and their stances and where they're looking. And that's what you can add to the reading by pulling all that stuff out and making sense of it. The other thing he does, which I thought was really interesting, is we had this as the bottom what he pulled was this bottom section. And then the other thing he does, if you look at his channel, is he goes, okay, well, you have to be, there'll be new growth here at the end of this cycle. Once you seek your own counsel, seek other counsel, knowing that things change. Once, there'll be maybe a lot of changes before you come to something that you need to plant the seed for. And then you may say, well, when will this be? How long will this seed take? And then he just starts on his own deck. He just starts pulling cards. Like the change will come with a magician type thing, a dramatic change. You'll see the fertility will come from something new, a new manifestation that you was not expected, and what happens after that. And then because of that manifestation, it'll be so shocking that you want to take the time to step back and think about it longer. Like, in other words, go into a reclusive mode and think about those changes. And then, so he keeps reading, and then you'll be ready to move forward with the chariot and plant those seeds. And then there's the sun, and then everything will be fine. And so here he goes into, he kind of extends the second row, and he talks about the process, how this planting of the seed, how the process is going to go. And then you stop whenever you want to stop. And so here's the sun. I mean, you would stop at the sun. I mean, what comes after the sun? So it's a big, you're going to plant the seed. It's going to be dramatic in the beginning. So dramatic that you're going to want to take a break and see what to do about it, how to deal with that. And then you'll move forward again, and then you'll reach the sun, which is, of course, a completion. So I really enjoyed it, and it's really worth watching him. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. So my plan is to do more of these, and I'm going to have another home study group at my house starting next week for 4 weeks. And I want to read with these cards. By then I'll have 2 decks. One's going to be bordered and one's going to be non-bordered. And this non-bordered deck will be my deck. So I will have the person, the querent, pick out their own cards with the bordered deck. Ask a question, pick out 3 cards. And that's sort of the question that sort of like talks about the question. And then I will pull my 3 cards from my own deck. And then we'll go from there, and we'll read both lines. We'll read the cards that are over the cards, and then we'll go on and read, and if I do want to, extend the bottom line. I've been doing this for myself, and it seems really it really seems very helpful for me anyways. So again, this is the Marseille Tarot. I got it online. This is a really good Marseille book. I didn't finish it. I want to go back to it and read it. I'm thinking of maybe downloading this, because the glare on this bothers my eyes. And then there's Alejandro's book. Alejandro's The Spiritual Teacher and the Cards. I mean, but this is really big. But I was reading parts of that. I think I started from the beginning, and then I ended up getting this other book, and then I stopped reading the Marseille. So anyways, this is just about the Marseille. I did a video about the Marseille, and it's gotten a lot of interest, so I wanted to do another one. And it's gotten me back to thinking about the Marseille and doing the Marseille, only reading the Grand Trumps. Both Jodorowsky and Bendoff say that's the way you should read. I mean, that's all you really need to do. I mean, you don't have to read that way, but he's saying that's the Grand Trumps. And once you get used to the cards, they're so much fun to play with, the interaction, and you can look at the little details, and you come up with your own meanings for the little small details, because those books are very, that deck is very, very colorful, very intensive with color and with detail. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and get yourself a Marseille deck and go wild. Have a great day.